After reading the Sunday Inquirer, I proceeded with my morning household chores when it struck me that this cannot be business as usual. Two front-page articles screamed for attention from all people of color in Philadelphia, and African Americans in particular. The story about Orr and Daniel Ziegler's excellent rebuttal to Philadelphia Magazine's latest and continued assault on Black Philadelphia calls for, to paraphrase Dr. Martin Luther King, the fierce urgency of now. I have had the occasion over the past year to speak to two business people who had come to do work in Philadelphia. One hails from the South and the other from the Big Apple. Both are unknown to each other, but what they have in common is an observation that there is very little wealth in Black Philadelphia. I'm from Mexico. Them that got shall get, them that not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is true. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own in the coast. Which brings me back to Sunday's article on Ogontz Avenue Revitalization Corporation, or in which the Inquirer wrote a story about alleged misuse of state funds. If you look beyond the deliberately misleading headlines and the numerous inferences and innuendos, there is not much there in their story. They reduce 30 years of Dwight Evans' hard work to revitalize this formerly blighted community to a headline of indictment. Quote, the Northwest Philadelphia nonprofit founded by State Dwight Evans misspent or mismanaged portions of state grants worth $12 million since 2006, violated bid rules, and made questionable real estate purchases with taxpayer funds, according to a state investigation. End of quote. For the record, State Representative Evans founded for 30 years ago with a mission to revitalize impoverished, blighted neighborhoods. Beginning as a young legislator, he worked tirelessly over the past 30 years to turn around this formerly economically distressed, crime-infested, and blighted neighborhood into a vibrant community with bustling commercial corridors and improved housing stock, educational options, training programs, and business and neighborhood attraction programs. If he were a white legislator, and this was a white neighborhood, the Inquirer's headline would read, committed state legislator turns neighborhood around after 30 years of hard work. Dwight Evans worked his way up to the chairmanship of the Appropriations Committee of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives through hard work and perseverance. In the 20 years he held this position, he was arguably one of the most powerful state legislators in the Commonwealth, respected by both sides of the aisle for deliberative leadership and bringing home the bacon to his members and their constituents. All members. Philadelphia as a whole did well under Representative Evans, who held the top appropriations leadership positions through both Democratic and Republican administrations in Harrisburg. Moreover, Philadelphians, Black, white, Latino, Asian, and others residing in neighborhoods across this city are still today benefiting from the appropriations decisions made by Representative Evans. There would be no convention center or its expansion without Dwight. There would be no urban supermarkets in Philadelphia or in various urban areas across this country without Dwight. There would be no barns, Jewish museums, or Please Touch museums without Dwight. There would be no Avenue of the Arts North without Dwight. influence of short-sightedness, petty jealousies, and animus led to his tumble from the top court perch of appropriations chair. Money you got, lots of friends, crowded around your door. When you're gone, send it in. They don't come no more. So when two total strangers in the city ask, why is there so little black wealth in Philadelphia? The answer lies between apathy and petty jealousy, corporate greed and their political benefactors, liberals who are comfortable with blacks on their backs and in the boardroom, and a press that exploits and sensationalizes the misfortunes of the black community. On one hand, and the demonizing of those who dare to craft solutions. There is a saying in the black community that whenever we learn the rules of the game changes. Representative Evans learned the rules of the game in Harrisburg, and he was a very effective steward of our resources. There is a notion that the African American community is not entitled to participate in decisions of allocating revenue and government resources. We need to somehow be closely monitored, and that government in our hands is suddenly more corrupt. The press perpetuates this myth by sensationalizing leaked allegations. We all know that the press gives some political leaders the presumption of innocence and requires a higher bar of evidence before printing allegations of alleged impropriety. If this story was about former Governor Rendell, the inquiry may have investigated the motives of a Republican administration seeking stories about his audit, which the administration refused